We're listening to.
You're listening to.
You're listening to.
Y'all are listening to
What's Left of the South.
Thank you for tuning in to What's Left of the South, a podcast about Southern working class history and current events from a leftist perspective. This podcast is brought to you by being in a new tax bracket, testosterone levels, anxiety, living at home, aging parents, Ian Fidance, Kai's war against the British Empire, Nelson finally getting a real job moving out of his mother's house, Tyler's hiatus, which will inevitably lower our listener count, and Sweet Mark's co-workers who are slowly driving him beyond the point of silliness and into madness, and the committee to elect Steve Marshall Attorney General. As always, I'm Nelson with...
And I'm a pregnancy draft dodger.
And I am no longer bearing the fruits that I was born with.
And our guests this evening are...
My name is, I don't even know if I should give my real name. My name is Jenice and Executive Director of Yellowhammer Fund.
Woo!
Hey y'all, I am Heidi Miller. I'm the development manager at Yellowhammer Fund.
Yay!
Yay!
More abortions!
Abortion month!
Abortion month! Oh my god.
Every month is
my God.
abortion month.
Yeah, take that, Republicans. Fuck you. Oh man. So how's everybody doing on this great Monday?
Not too shabby. I scheduled a wax and a dentist appointment back to back, which may be evidence of being a masochist, but
Are you okay?
I got it done. So, you know.
Wow, okay.
Monday. Very
Oh,
Monday.
sorry, I'm an oversharer too.
No, you're just getting it done. You're proactive.
Disclaimer.
This is great.
It's
It's the most brutal thing I think we've heard in the podcast in a while.
Listen,
for a while at
you
least.
know,
A lot of times we talk.
shiny. My downstairs is smooth like a jet puffed marshmallow. So okay, now I'm definitely
Oh my god!
Oh, hi.
Yo.
This is cozy in here.
Oh, I told him earlier you missed I'm from Montgomery. I know Nelson, you're originally from Montgomery, correct?
Yeah, I'm born and
I'm not
raised
sure
in
about
Montgomery.
Kai
I
and
finally
Mark,
moved.
right? But like if you're from Montgomery, you're a trash person just by nature. So sorry, I'm just like
The Montgomery
embodying that a
brawl.
little too much. Oh, now that was the best of us. Truly.
Oh my god. Jeez, how you doing on this Monday?
It's a Monday-ass Monday, and my conservative neighbors got like extra American flags for their yards. I think it's in response to the bus being in my yard. So now I feel like I need like the pride flag that's like 50 feet in the air to compete, because I don't want to be a loser. Like, can't back down.
I'm just wondering what's going through their minds. Like, oh, the bus is in our neighbor's yard. That means extra American flags. Like, that's gonna do something.
It's like,
Like, honey, bring out the 8x12.
Neighbors are heathens. It's time to bring out the bigger
I
flags.
just picture that scene from King of the Hill where like Bill gets that massive flag from the base and he's like shirtless screaming because
my
Khan's trying to
God,
take it down.
yes. That's right. It also makes me think of that Roy Wood Jr. joke, where he's like, so how many Confederate flags equals one, or no, how many American flags, I said it backwards, I already gave the joke away. How many American flags equals one Confederate flag?
It's getting lower and lower every day.
Janine says one.
It's one. I'm not gonna lie. It's
I
every
tend to
time.
agree.
Every time I see someone just like fly one American flag, I'm just like,
Yeah, I look at it the same. Like, oh shit, let me get the fuck out of here.
it's just like,
You're like, where's my wallet?
Like, if I'm long enough to turn around in someone's driveway, you have an American flag, I would really rather drive to hell. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not turning around.
oh my god. I asked my kids. I was just like, so what happened? I just wanted to gauge. It's like, what happened if they like reinstated the draft and we had to go to war with China? They're like, man, fuck this shit. I'm not going. I was like, right on. I was like, the kids are all right. Mark, we're gonna have to go, brother. Let's go.
No, I'm gonna have someone break both my legs.
You're still
Like,
going.
I'm sorry, I can't
One would
go.
not suffice.
Like everybody
Right,
who getting
that's why I
off,
was like, damn, both.
everybody who gets out of it on a medical is like, I mean, I got too much ADHD. I'm sorry, I can't do this. Oh man.
Mark,
Sorry,
you need to play
Sarge,
Red.
I can't even limp across the lawn.
You can play Red Dead for real.
They're gonna give me a horse. They're gonna have drones, and you're gonna give me a horse.
We're
Yeah,
right,
they'll
we're
fi- I
right,
was gonna
cowboy.
say, these days they'll probably find a way to just make it work. They'll put you somewhere.
Give me like a mech. You don't need to walk anywhere.
Do
Just
not,
get in the suit.
don't give like sci-fi writers any more ideas because there's already like 5 storylines coming out of this.
Oh Lord. Before we get into the main topic, I just wanted to. I don't even watch the news anymore, but it popped up on social media that apparently one of our nation's great F-35s that the government spent $1.7 trillion on to design just decided to autopilot itself and crash into the mountains of South
Oh,
Carolina.
did they find it?
It's in South
Oh my
Carolina.
God.
Some fucking hillbilly in Appalachia. It's like,
Imagine-
I'm fucking rich.
The moonshine still they can make with that thing.
Holy shit, can you fucking imagine?
I'm gonna have to look this up. I hadn't heard about that.
Oh my
So
God.
apparently, like the pilot had to bail. So the pilot bailed, but the autopilot stayed on. So the flight just kept going wherever it was going. And the last I heard, they were like, "Hey, if anybody finds it, like let the American government know."
Still got the keys in it.
The plane is worth
Wild.
$85 million.
I love that.
Oh,
I wish whoever found it just never reported it. Just
Oh
let
my
it stay
God.
there.
just use it
This-
for drug smuggling or something fun. Like seriously,
It's gonna be like an Airbnb.
You should be
No,
like a portfolio, like the miso plane. It could be a
Yes.
miso plane.
you just see that shit on fucking. You just see that shit on Craigslist or like on Facebook Marketplace. Be like, I got this plane for sale. It's like,
Don't
give me
lowball me. I
give
know what I got.
give me $500. He takes it. No, fuck that. They're gonna throw it on a low boy, take it to a scrap metal place. Be like, how much can I get for this?
I can't even identify what metals it's made out of. Like,
There's some
it's so-
sort of alloy shit. I don't fucking know. I think
worth
this is
about 20
tin.
bucks.
Only use it once.
Wait, what'd you say, Janice?
Yeah,
I
geez,
said,
what
only
is
use it once.
it? Only use-
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right, y'all. So on the month that we've Kai has deemed abortion month, so this has been an abortion month episode. What I guess the broad first question is, what is the state of abortion access in our lovely, great state of Alabama that is run by the smartest, best people we could ever elect to hold public office?
Whew. I almost choked. The state of our abortion care is that we are absolutely fucked. Like, very much so fucked. We have no access to abortion, and the state of Alabama is completely banned in the state. And we also went the extra mile and have aiding and abetting laws, and then also have the threat of the conspiracy law as well. So, do not have abortion access in the state. We can't even assist people in getting out of the state. I might add that the state went the extra mile to also criminalize midwifery care, put regulations on birthing centers and make them close the safest birthing center in Birmingham that was at a medical doctor's is Princeton. They closed their labor and delivery, which was the safest place for Black folks to birth. So that's where we're at. No abortion care, no birthing centers, no midwifery care, and no Princeton labor and delivery. Good times, fun times.
Yeah, and just going off of that, like Jeannie said, it is a total ban, so there's no exceptions, even for rape or incest. To my knowledge, I think since the overturning of Roe in June of 2022, there's maybe been like less than half a dozen abortions performed out of like, I guess, probably absolute necessity. Because I know, like I read, for example, about pregnant woman, a pregnant Alabamian, and she already had a child, and she was pregnant with her second child, and there were going to be a lot of things with this pregnancy that just like this child wasn't going to be compatible with life, but because they were all like separate conditions and I guess not serious enough together, quote unquote, she ended up having to, for example, go to Washington, D.C. And get her abortion there. So even people who are going through all like jumping through all the hoops of like, I think they have to like go in front of like I guess it's the medical board of examiners or whoever it is. It's like a group of like 13 or something of them, and essentially like seek their approval if they're trying to utilize the exception that's like in case the mother's life is at stake. But exceptions are just like not the best way I can really put it is like exceptions and abortion bans just are there to like quote make people feel better about abortion bans, but they're not actually there like serving those folks that the exceptions are supposed to be for. And I could go on and on about so many examples, but one that definitely another one that pops up was in Mississippi where an actual child, like a 12-year-old, was raped and got pregnant from the rape. And because of just the murkiness of the laws and like what people know about what's legal or what they think might be illegal, they were not able to get her abortion care. And so she is now a middle schooler with a child. Because those quote unquote exceptions, again, are just not actually honored and are really like a farce. So yeah, essentially at this point, anyone in the Deep South needing an abortion needs to go to, as far as like Illinois, they could still go to North Carolina, but they're going hundreds and hundreds of miles in each direction. I think a lot of people end up going to like New Mexico right now. It's pretty common.
And some people aren't going to go. They're just going to die in childbirth or just accept the fact that they have to birth it as a child in terrible life circumstance. Also, pending again that functions, the exceptions don't function how people think they do. Like Heidi said, I'm friends with a medical doctor that was formerly running a clinic in Huntsville, and she's literally having to convince other doctors to perform abortions when medically necessary, despite them also being people that have the same medical clearances as she does. And so she's had to watch people wait till they're septic to get an abortion. So they're like literally on their deathbed. So that's how exceptions function, is that they do not.
I'm glad that you two brought that up, because you hear Republicans, like the whatever's left of like the moderate wing of the Republican Party, say, oh, there needs to be exceptions for rape and incest. But like everybody knows that that's just bullshit. One, it's statistically very low. And second is like what you just brought up, is that, there's still a lot of hoops to jump through in order to get an abortion, if that's even the case. And Heidi, I remember hearing about that situation in Mississippi. But Jenice, could you talk more about you said the birthing centers that were closed? Because I think when people think of like reproductive health care, they think of abortion as number one. But also, we all know in the South that, especially in Alabama, like we haven't expanded Medicaid, and rural hospitals are closing and birthing centers are closing. But I did not know that about Birmingham. So could you go into a little bit more detail about what you said about the centers closing and how that impacts people that need to give child or going to give birth? Like, I think that seems to be something that really gets like brushed aside when they talk about reproductive justice.
Oh, absolutely. Part of my like really zero in on this is that folks were immediately post stops like, well, everybody's going out of state. Let's get people out of state. And I'm like, y'all, this is Alabama. Like, some folks can't do that. Like, leave the state. You need PTO time. You need gas, childcare. You need resources. You need to know where to go. You need to have somewhere to get the information to, like, it's not always going to happen. And I really wished that we were all working with forced birthing or even elective post-ops, but people did not. They just shifted to who can get out of the state. And I'm like, there's disabled people, there's parent transfers who don't have safe places out of state. There's like all these things that could inhibit one from getting out of state for care. So let's look at birthing, right? There's this, like, we know that our maternal mortality rate in the state is the highest in the country. We know it's worse if you're Black. And so, like, let's look at what's in place to send people to be safe during care, especially having providers that are pro-abortion, having providers that are cognizant of like all the things, right? When you look at what they're doing, trying to put up birthing centers, like Dr. Heather Gaines had Oasis Birthing Center. Excellent. No maternal mortality, no infant mortality, her morbidity rates, excellent, all the things. And they shut her down. They sent her a cease and desist. When you look at Yashika Robinson in Huntsville, who was starting her own, it was going to be full spectrum abortion and birthing, but obviously we don't have abortion care, who was just doing a child birthing center. They added these midwifery regulations that would effectively really make it impossible for one to have a center for birthing. And so it's like, now what do you do? And when people say, oh, well, geez, why do you keep calling it a death threat? Because it is. Because now that we have to birth, like we have to reckon with having to birth, where do we birth? There's no abortion care, there's no birthing centers, and there's no midwifery care effectively. So what's next? The hospital, right? Where's the safest place in Birmingham to birth? It's Princeton, actually. People think it's all these other places. UAB gets named, Brookwood, I don't know how Brookwood still gets named, St. Vincent's. It's literally Princeton. Their labor and delivery has shut down. What do we do? Where we go?
Yeah, it's just frustrating. Every time I hear it, it doesn't change because I can't stand Governor Meemaw. I can't stand the people who run the state. I can't stand any of them because they're the most backwards, just asinine people, and they don't care. I know, like, people who've listened to this podcast for forever know how much we despise the Alabama Republican Party. It's just like they continually like just hurt and kill people, and they will not stop. And it's just, you hit the nail on the head with it. It's just like, oh, you can go out of state, but it's just like you said, you have to get childcare, you have PTO. Like, it's just all these things come together to make it impossible. And then on top of all of that, can y'all touch on these conspiracy laws that have now popped up that our great state has decided to do?
Before we get there, Nelson, because I know this is
Yeah.
about to be her shtick, she does a much better job of the conspiracy piece than me. I really like that you said they don't care. I've done so many roundtables with folks that are just like, well, if you knew their story, if we just shared folks' stories, and they would, most infuriating thing ever, because this is intentional. Like, if you look at all of the pieces of this, it's a very intentional attack, and it's threatening people's real lives, like real people that are here existing already. It's threatening our ability to stay alive. So when we talk about things, it's so important that we not gift people ignorance. Like, we gotta stop gifting them ignorance. It's not ignorance. They know they have access to what they need. That's literally it. They don't care. Like, they know who's at risk, and they don't care about that group. And in fact, not only do they not care about that group, they hate that group. So it comes naturally for them to put us at risk of our health, and also at risk of incarceration, which is what ultimately abortion ban does. It also criminalizes pregnancy. It's a very intentional attack. And I think what we don't do well on this blue, leftist, whatever, liberal side is really treat attacks like attacks, because they're coming consistently. We're not going across the aisle with people trying to kill us. We got to be done with that.
Thank you. Because I hear the same thing in the political science realm, especially from Yankee liberals, blue states out of Alabama. There's like, oh, the other side, it's just blah. No, they hate poor people. They hate people of color. They hate Black people. They hate people who can give birth. They hate women. They hate everyone. They are evil. And I'm tired of, especially out of state liberal groups. But then sometimes I hear it from people in the state. I was like, how have you lived here your entire life and not realize that conservatives are just fucking evil? Like, the Alabama Republicans, the Southern Republicans are more incompetent, horrible Dixiecrats. Like, they do not give a fuck, and they are evil. Governor Meemaw, with her drinking and burping and acting a fool, is not some sweet, Mima's going to bake you a pie. She is going to fucking kill you. She does not care. They do not care. They are evil. And I don't want to be like Alex Jones, but they're evil. They're demons. No, but they're fucking evil because they don't give a shit. And it's just, I crunched the numbers one time. I think I mentioned on the podcast that the Alabama Republican Party, the supermajority, has literally gerrymandered themselves into a supermajority. And so another thing I'm sick and tired of is like, you can just vote away the problem. You can just vote them out. No, you can't. You can't. I crunched the numbers. I went through the votes that it is statistically impossible to break this because they have gerrymandered themselves in the state government into a filibuster-proof supermajority. They have rigged it. Democracy is essentially dead in the state of Alabama, and it will not change unless the federal government gets involved. And as of right now, they're not getting involved at this level. They may change our federal districts, but that doesn't mean shit when it comes to our state districts, when it comes to our state house and our Senate. It does not matter. And until that is busted, we're fucked. So everyone listening, thank you for coming to my TED Talk about why democracy is dead in the state of Alabama. Heidi, can you tell us about the conspiracy laws and how the state is a fashion fucking dictatorship?
Ooh, okay, yes, absolutely. That's a lot to follow because you and Jenice definitely just dropped a couple of serious mics on us.
I hate
real.
you, Governor Meemaw, so much.
Oh, and also if y'all haven't, whoever's listening, if you haven't seen that video of her burping, please, I watch it at least once a month. So, like,
Mr. Speaker, can you put that in here right now? Just go to Meemaw burping. I know you can find it.
oh my gosh. But no, yeah. So, okay, the laws in Alabama. Essentially, it kind of breaks down into like two facets. The main facet is our total abortion ban that was introduced and passed in 2019. That was the abortion ban that was at the time and still now one of the strictest, if not the strictest in the entire country. It definitely was at the time. That was the moment that really got Yellowhammer Fund as Alabama's only abortion fund a huge amount of attention. Nationally, it was a huge influx of donations. It allowed us to like actually hire staff and pay people. And when it was legal, we funded anywhere from, it was easily over 8,000 abortion clients who needed help either paying for the procedure itself or who needed practical support like help with travel or lodging and things like that, childcare. So we assisted on average about 2,000 people a year with pledges towards their abortion appointments and those practical support costs. Essentially, when Roe was overturned in June of 2022, Alabama's law was a trigger law, which meant that our abortion ban went into law the exact same day, like immediately upon Roe being overturned. I remember that, for example, West Alabama Women's Center in Tuscaloosa, they were trying to get as many patients in as possible, trying to get folks like medication abortions, trying to see just as many folks as they could. And similarly at Yellowhammer Fund, we had amped up our pledges a ton, particularly in those last few months before Roe was overturned. But ultimately, like what the laws dictate now that they are in effect as of June 2022, the main one is just that it's a total abortion ban. So no one can get abortions in the state of Alabama, regardless of gestation. The only quote unquote exceptions are for rape and incest. And like I was saying earlier, there have been literally less than half a dozen to my knowledge, the last time I checked. So most people are going multiple states over if they're seeking abortion care legally out of state to get that care. But what we didn't realize at Yellowhammer Fund, and I don't think most anyone realized, was that it wasn't just the total abortion ban that we would be subject to. We imagined that we would still be able to easily help people get out of state. Not, I say easily, but at least be able to help people get out of state and be able to fund that way. but it was made very clear very quickly that we were dealing with these very specific pieces of law, very specific like phrasings. And one of them is this conspiracy clause, I guess is the best way to reference it. And essentially, the state of Alabama is trying to argue that if this is so, let me try and break this down the best way I can. If people conspire, quote unquote, to commit a crime, and that conspiracy occurs in the state of Alabama, and it's a crime that is illegal in the state of Alabama, that they could be prosecuted potentially for that conspiracy to commit a crime, even if what is happening is completely legal in another state. And so that's like what our lawsuit is. That's kind of the best way to break down that aspect of it, is that that's what the attorney general is trying to say, is that he could prosecute people for the conspiracy, quote unquote, to commit a crime. And that was just not something that we were aware of initially. And I don't want to get like too deep in the weeds about it because I'm not, a law expert. Nothing I'm saying is like law advice or anything like that, legal advice. But that's kind of where we're at of that. We obviously can't help people get abortions in our state, and we are frozen for fear of prosecution for our clients, for our staff, anyone associated with Yellowhammer Fund. And anyone assisting anyone out of state could allegedly be prosecuted. So I really try to make that clear of like, if a person on their own is seeking legal care, abortion care in an access state, they are absolutely able to do that. It is completely legal. But anyone assisting that person, whether it's with money, a ride, I just would warn that person that they could potentially be prosecuted. It hasn't happened yet. I just want people to be extra careful out there. Don't put anything in writing. Like, make all your plans in person. But yeah, I feel like that was a good long ramble if y'all want to in my tangent there for now.
Adding that we are also asking the federal court to not allow the state to make good on its promises or threats to criminalize folks seeking care, or not criminalize folks that are assisting folks that are seeking care, because we are not funding or assisting, but we are absolutely actively fighting back to get back to funding.
And I think that one like really nefarious thing, like it's all shitty, but like from what I remember is they tried to keep this kind of secret, and it wasn't until Chris England, who was the former chair of the Democratic Party and a state rep, was like, "Hey, actually, hey everybody," on Twitter, it was like, they could prosecute people for just helping someone get an abortion. So it's like it goes back to what G said, like you can't like sway these people. You can't tell them stories. You can't like try to play on their hearts and their good Christian values of helping people. You can't. Like they're evil. And it's the fact that they really tried to keep that a secret until Representative England was like, "Hey, people could go to jail for this just for helping somebody." Because I know, like when this first happened, like we were all just like, "Hey, we can get people out of state, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera." And then it just was like, "Hey, nope, can't," because it's conspiracy and then the commission of a felony and all this other shit that's going on. And it just goes to show you that like it's not as simple and cut and dry as people out of state tend to think it is. Could you go into excuse me, could you go into like a little more I guess detail about like how this has changed Yellowhammer? Because it seems like overnight it went from funding people needing abortion, at least at 8,000, to like stop. And how has that affected y'all, and like what's been the fallout from that? And just if you could just whatever you can tell us about the whole situation going on there.
So luckily, we are already doing like a lot of other work for reproductive justice. We're doing family justice work. We did a lot of work really intervening in the ways that like the DHR system harms people in the state as well. We did work around birthing. We did some of the services that anti-abortion centers or crisis pregnancy centers do as well, like giving out diapers, but not in the horrible way that they conduct their business. So we saw a lot of value in like making sure that our work was full spectrum pre-dobbs. So like having to change and not do funding was definitely a hit, and we're definitely fighting to get that back. But what we did do well is kind of like we just had to lean into what we're already doing. We didn't have to like create this whole blueprint. We did mobilize a lot more of our resources. So people ask all the time, like, where's the office? And I'm pointing to a bus because I'm like, this has to be accessible. Like now, so now we're in the street, like people are like, you got ice cream? Because it looks like an ice cream truck. And we're like, we have plan B. Like we have safer sex kits. We have lube. We have
you crunch up the plan B and put it in the ice cream.
A little treat.
I would definitely show up for Plan B ice cream. Like not even lying.
That's the rocky road that liberals want.
And and it's so necessary because folks are like, oh, this is an abortion pill. I'm like, yo, if you take this for an abortion pill, you're definitely got to have a kid, love. Like, I don't know how to tell you this. And then I'm like telling people, like, the running joke is like, have it under your tongue because you only got about 24 hours, but like, don't take any risks. And people are like, ha ha. But I'm like, very, very much so serious. The state of abortion access in the state is like, but so I guess the biggest pivot is that we like really double down on being accessible because like, not everybody's gonna go online. Not everyone knows where to look. Like, not everyone knows, like, oh, there's free EC somewhere. So we're like, how about we just bring it to you? And we're like, while we're there, like, we want to have conversations about abortion access. But so that might be the biggest pivots. And then we made some safety nets for folks because everybody was like, oh, we're gonna do the thing anyways. Like, it's gonna be great to go across state lines, self-manage. And we're like, cool. So how do we get people to know about these great things you want them to do? Well, okay, so what do they do if they get caught? Well, then it's like quiet, it's crickets. And when you look at how heavily surveilled the state is and how heavily surveilled Black folks are, and you're like, just go across state lines and self-manage. We're relying on the healthcare system that is Alabama that already shows implicit bias. Maybe we need a legal fund to assist people if they get caught. Like maybe, or even if it's just that they miscarry and they have a horrible fucking person they rely on for healthcare and they think they try to self-manage. Like, what are they gonna do? People love solutions with like no safety nets, and it pisses me off.
And I do want to follow that just with Alabama, I think has the highest rate of criminalization of pregnancy outcomes. I think in the entire country, if I'm not mistaken on that.
If it's anything bad, I just automatically assume we're number one.
Us in Mississippi. We just
yeah, exactly.
But don't worry, our great governor has promised to remove children from our homes should we not be able to afford the pregnancy that we didn't want to carry. So just in case, like, you thought America was over taking kids out of their homes, separating families, we're not. We're still there.
So that's so basically what you're saying is that the Republicans are the real child traffickers. That's what's happening here. That's the real sound of freedom is the Republicans taking children. Oh,
and if you want to be really serious about it, they probably like weaponizing their barrenness on Black birthing people in the state. But I won't go down that. Y'all just shout out to Dorothy Roberts if anybody wants to read about that. This shit is very serious in the state, and I can't say enough that we are at absolute crisis. I don't know if people are waiting for like that shitty story to come out or what to tell you that we're absolutely already at the point of being in a horrible crisis. And what we don't do well as a movement is get ahead of shit and start addressing it as it is in the moment instead of waiting for this bad thing to happen and organizing around it. We have to organize ahead of time. Y'all don't organize around voting in this racially gerrymandered ass state. Have fucking fun. What are people gonna do in the meanwhile? Y'all talk policy for 5 to 10 years when we're literally trying to keep people alive for the next 5 to 10 fucking years. What are we gonna do? We're waiting on the government to say, and even federally, I don't give a fuck if we have a blue president. How did that help Alabama? Like, we gotta take back power as movements and stop waiting on legislation. Like, the power is in the fucking movement.
It just warmed my soul. Thank you.
It reminds me of when we had people on here before saying like, like before Dobbs dropped, saying like, you watch, it's gonna happen, and there were so many people who were saying like, no, well, is it, I don't think it'll actually happen. And then when it did, and everybody was like, every like liberal person who is still on my social media was doing that, like, hey, if you want to come camping in my state, it'll be fine. And like, no, we're not playing this game now. We were trying to tell you 3 years ago, 5 years ago, this is coming, and now you're just gonna like play with people's lives like this. No.
Right. To be
We
the
got it
knight
on
in shining
record.
armor to pick up the pieces when you needed a shield the whole time.
Oh my god.
There's
We
no
got it on
point.
record.
It's already
We got it
broken.
on record. We got it on record. The late great Mamma Mia, 4 episodes, literally every single one being like, it's gonna get overturned. It's gonna get overturned. It's gonna get overturned. And y'all didn't listen. And now we're fucked.
Super
Oh
fucked.
my god. So question, because I think there's a lot of like, there is misinformation about what actually people can do now. And I guess the question is the kind of so the question really is like, I kind of know the answer because they would if they could. When it comes to Plan B and when it comes to the abortion pill, when it comes to anything like medically like that, like what's the next, like they've a total ban, and we said we need to rally around something. We need to prevent stuff from happening. So it seems like the next logical step for them was to start banning Plan B. So how do we? What's the move to make sure that like we can somehow rally against that? Because they would if they could, and they want to. And we all probably know the next legislative session we're going to be seeing stuff that's like, oh, they're going to make it harder to get, and it's going to get to the point where like it's a total ban on any sort of contraception. So I guess like what's the next step for people in the movement, and like what's happening now to try to make sure that the few protections we have left are going to be kept in place?
So lots of things. Unfortunately, I can't be like telling everyone they can go to Plan C or aid access for abortion pills or anything like that. And I'm really not allowed to like tell folks about taking one miso and Fort Miffy for anything. Definitely can't do that. There's no talking to people about like red state access or anything like that. So that's been really hard to not be able to tell people about that resource for abortion pills. But in terms of emergency contraceptives, we are partnering with quite a few people to get a lot of it into communities and really make hubs and communities before anything else can happen with it. One of those folks being Julie. Shout out to Julie Emergency Contraceptives. They're really freaking awesome. And we're really looking at like, how do we get as much into communities, into hubs, and as much education around it as possible. We also do safer sex kits. We pack them like every other month. This is ovulation, pregnancy tests, lube, condoms, and emergency contraceptives. But, you know, even with all of those things in place, sometimes they don't work. So we do partner with folks that would be safe places to discuss birthing. If you still end up in that place of like having to birth against your will. But I think the movement is shifting to like accessibility and preventative care, which is something we're kind of already doing. We're just like really doubling down. And we're fighting the fuck back. I don't know if I mentioned that we're absolutely asking the state to intervene. Because fuck this. This is not going to be a new norm that we settle with. That's never going to be the case. Like, it's only going to get, for me, a little brain, I would hope that this movement only is going to get more and more radical about how we approach it. Because like maybe you did think voting would work. I'll forgive you if you mistake now.
They're listening. The state came in and they shut us down. Oh man. Yeah. I'm so sick of people talking about voting. I think we lost Jenice. I am like that is the biggest just and it doesn't matter who's in office. It doesn't matter the federal government. It doesn't matter the state. Well, it's not going to matter the state government because they're never going to change. But when it comes to the federal government, it doesn't matter if it's blue or red. It's because like we all know Dobbs got overturned during Biden's administration. So like it really doesn't matter who's in office. The Republicans are going to try their hardest to do whatever. And they just took out Jenice. Oh no, this is gone. Governor Meemaw struck.
They blame them for that too. Shitty Alabama Wi-Fi or whatever it is. Why don't we have fiber? Damn,
Yeah.
fiber optic.
It was such
Oh,
a
wait,
good-
wait.
Oh yeah, we're back. Oh no, Jenice, the Governor Meemaw get you. This is like he comes back and Governor Meemaw has a gun to her head. Like, what did you say about me?
Just an aged white hand is all that you see.
Oh God.
He thought you could make fun of my policies. That burp is
Gracious.
just fucking insane.
I genuinely did not think it was real. I was like, dang, someone did a good job editing this video.
No.
100% actually happened.
Oh my god. Heidi, did you wanna fill in anything there? Or do you have anything to add to that?
Oh gosh, my brain's already done 5 different ADHD things since then. I know something I did just kind of generally want to touch on and make sure that we mentioned is first of all, I just need to give like a huge shout out to Jenice for being our fearless leader and for having just like some of the most innovative like community driven ideas I've ever encountered. And one of the things that Jenice came up with was to do a fellowship in which we would recruit like especially like particularly young folks, but people particularly here in Alabama and a couple other southern states, and educate them on reproductive justice, everything from self-managed abortion to Black feminism to fighting the patriarchy. Our lovely Mia did a legislative session breakdown, of course, and taught folks how and where to protest, all those good things. But really just taking folks who, and trying to focus on folks who might not even like have these sort of opportunities necessarily. It was a paid like 6-week program. We recruited 25 fellows, mostly from here in Alabama. And just like had that community space together. We armed them with like 50 safer sex kits a piece, so that they can then take those emergency contraceptives, the condoms. We gave them all sorts of stuff to be able to then disseminate in their respective neighborhoods to be that hub, as Jenice says, like, places where they already have that trust established. They know their neighbors, they know their fellow church members or their roommates or whoever it is, their family members. And I just wanted to shout that out. We're doing our next fellowship cohort in early 2024. And I just feel like that's just something that we've done that I really haven't seen any other like reproductive orgs really doing things like that, of like Jenice made the point of like, not everyone's going to know about us. Not everyone's going to know to come to Yellowhammer Fund for information. Of course, if you need information, please reach out, through our website or social media or whatever you're comfortable with. But yeah, those, for the folks who live in rural areas, a lot of folks don't have internet in Alabama. They just might not have those connections to be able to know that we ship out free safer sex kits, which we do to anyone in Alabama, Mississippi, and the Florida Panhandle, also on our website, yellowhammerfund.org. But yeah, just like the fellowship, along with Jenice's other brainchild, was our bus, which is our mobile unit. And that's also just another way of increasing that accessibility for folks who don't live, in the Birmingham, like in those metro areas, maybe folks who are disabled, folks who just don't have, reliable transportation, like whatever the case may be, just increasing that accessibility on multiple levels. So I definitely wanted to shout that out. I think Jenice is coming back.
Jenice, are you back? Did you break free of Governor Meemaw? Oh no.
Oh no.
Governor Meemaw is the only boomer that knows how to hack a router. Oh wait, Janice, are you free from Governor Meemaw? We thought that Governor Meemaw, I got you.
No, they got me. It's funny. My phone was like, your connection may be currently being, someone might be attacking, or trying to something. It was weird. I should have screenshot it. So I was like,
No shit.
It was Governor Meemaw. She's the only boomer that knows. She's the only old person that knows how to work Wi-Fi, and she did it.
It's like,
Just
what
dr-
trigger word did we use too many times? Was it abortion? Was it
she's just-
self-managed abortion? Was it?
She's just
Which
drunk
one?
in Birmingham somewhere. And be like, I'm gonna stop.
Said her name
Yellowhammer
3
Fund."
times in a row.
Oh man, yeah. Oh God, I can't even. It's the Governor Meemaw 3 times. She's the worst, and that goes to show you that, like, it was the. I remember looking it up because there was that that meme that someone outside of Alabama was like, "This is why you need to elect more women." And I was just like, "Well, our governor is a woman, and the person who put forth the ban in 2019 was a woman, so kind of like an asterisk next to that." And it's just like, you need to realize that just because you need to really look at what people's political leanings are and what they believe and what party they're part of, because it's sometimes people you least expect.
I don't understand why people don't understand that the rot goes all the way down. That no matter who you're electing, it's all in service to the same white supremacist and misogynist function. It's like it goes all the way down. You can't just shove more women or more people of color into there and think that it's going to be better, because it's all in service of the same thing.
And you keep electing shitty people, and shitty things happen. And they're not gonna change. Gee, so what you broke up a bit.
Oh no, I said, who would have thought electing shitty people would get shitty things?
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Who would have guessed? Oh man. All right, y'all. So is there anything else y'all wanted to touch on? We're going about a little over an hour. Is there anything else y'all wanted to touch on that we didn't ask? Any issues, anything important that you think the good people that listen to this podcast, that still listen to the podcast, want to know? I know we still have listeners. I checked the analytics, and we definitely do have listeners, thousands of them. So there we go.
If anyone wants to get in, I think one of the things people think, like, oh, if I don't have money, I can't help. And that's not the case. There's going to be different ways that everybody participates in movement work, and it's not going to look the same, and it's all going to be equally valid. So if you don't have money, it's totally fine. If you come pack emergency contraceptive packs or safer sex kits, or safety kits, or even if you just like volunteer time, or if you just really make yourself knowledgeable about how to advocate for yourself and self-managing your care, and make sure that you are able to communicate it to other folks in your community that might trust you to communicate that type of information. There's so many ways to be on the right side of this work, and that is a huge one. It's like knowing all of the things before the thing happens. Like, know all of your options, know how to self-manage your care, know how to communicate that to someone else ahead of time, and be resourced, because we make it very easy for anyone to get resources. If you want to be a hub, hit us up. You can be. We're literally like, whatever we got, you got. We want it in the community more so than we want it hoarded.
I did have one question. What's the so the bus, what's the schedule like? Like where's it gonna go next? I know people definitely definitely want to get that resource.
So the bus, we did a lot of rural Alabama already when we planned like 5 stops and did 16. So we're supposed to be doing a lot more local stops around Birmingham and some revisits to some places we went. And we're coming to Mothers of Gynecology soon, I think this month. We're going to be partnering with Women in Training on the 7th. So if you want to catch Women in Training's 5K run, we're partnering with them. because they know that it's important to like teach youth about these things really early on. Fem South, I think we're going to Mobile with Fem South. So we'll have another schedule going out before Friday online of where the bus will be. If anyone wants to plug in and volunteer, just come out and get supplies. We always offer lunch, so even if you just come get food and don't want to talk to us, it's totally fine.
It's always good to offer food. You're definitely gonna bring out people if you offer food. Kai and Mark, do you have anything y'all wanted to say? I know I talked too much. Kai didn't tell me to shut up this episode yet.
I didn't have to. Just like I've been sitting here like I don't have a whole lot to say anyway, because I like when we have people who know what they're talking about, I don't have to say anything. I just want to listen to them. But like I've been sitting here like, please let the connection hold. Please let the connection. If I speak, the connection could break. What's gonna happen? No, but like personally, like again, like every time I bring up something, it's gonna end up like talking about Canada. But basically what it was reminding me of, like a lot of the issues that you're seeing in the South and what it sounds like was happening in Alabama, this like huge amount of top-down control and surveillance on people is something that like it reminds me of something that happens in Canada, which is called birth alerts, which disproportionately oh, there we go. We lost Jenice again.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Governor Mima! No, Governor Mima! It sucks again.
But okay, so birth alerts in Canada, they can only be struck down by the provinces, and there's several provinces where they still happen. I just looked it up, but it's something where a medical professional, if they clock that you could be a risk to a child if you're pregnant, or the people around you could be a risk to the child, then they automatically send an alert when you give birth, which like it kind of sounds like a good thing because it could stop like child abuse, but it's also something that disproportionately happens to Indigenous people, to people of color. So like when you come across these issues, it's never just abortion. It's never just XYZ. There's always like, there's more things. It's always in service. Did I break? Okay.
No, I think I froze. I think I froze for a minute. I was like, no, damn it, Spectrum! I bought the extra bandwidth.
But like, it's always in service to the same thing. It's always in service to the same like the government is. It was formed for the purpose of colonization, white supremacy, and misogyny thrown on top of there. Like that, it's always in service of that. So when we were talking about like you have to stay ahead of these things, it's because Jenice is gone again. Oh my god. Okay, so
Going to move on now.
It's going to be the Canadian government coming for me next.
Justin Trudeau, you son of a bitch.
But like, .ca address.
Your connection is unstable. It might be being attacked.
Justin Trudeau puts on another racist costume.
But like you can't vote misogyny and racism out of politics when it was built on. That's what it was built on. You can't wait for them to come say or hope that they're going to come save you. It's going to end up being your own community that does that. And that's why like grassroots community efforts like this are so important. And you need to be a step ahead of what is going to be coming down the river for you. No matter what, you got to stay involved. I forgot what I was going to say because I've been watching Jenice pop in and out. Mark, do you have anything?
Well, I was just like, when we were talking about like the way that the like aiding and abetting charges would be, is that they're not doing that for any other crime. They're like, oh yeah, if you conspire to commit a crime, like there's no, they're not going to do that for anything else. So it's like, I don't know, especially since they made it clear that they don't care. Like, I don't know why they would make it intentionally like, we'll never tell. Like, it's like, we know what you mean. Like, even like for weed, let's say that like, oh, we're going to go to Colorado and we're going to like get totally blasted. They're not going to show up to your house and arrest you. You're fully allowed to go do that. So I don't know why, since they're already winning, since it's already stacked in their favor, that they would really need to do that. I just think that's strange. Unless they want like almost like gaslight people to be like, oh no, it's not about that. Like taking that power away from, like, you know what I mean?
It's covered in Mima's ultimate gaslight gatekeep girl boss move.
Yeah. It's like, oh no, it's not. What do you mean? You're so silly. It was never about that. We're
Oh,
just
darling,
keeping
what are you
crime out of
doing?
our state.
She's like, oh, sugar.
Come back.
It's-
Come back
what are you
inside our
talking
state
about?
lines. No, like, it's nothing else.
Oh my
Like,
God.
oh, I'm going to go to Tennessee and steal a car. You're going to go with me. No, they don't. Literally anything else.
No, it's definitely one thing that we are reiterating as we go through this lawsuit and attempt to get our right to legally fund people legally getting legal care in legal states. Like you can't, when you kick the rights back to the states and now we're at, okay, states' rights, whatever. Like we can't enforce our abortion ban in other states. So like they can't, it's the same thing. Like Alabama can't criminalize legal activities in states where those activities are legal. And also to reiterate what Jenice was saying is like, we are going to continue to fight for pregnant people, for pregnant Alabamians. We are not giving up. And there was something else I wanted to mention too. Now I can't remember. But yeah, I guess that was just kind of my main thing of like, oh no, there was something. Like essentially, when you break it down for antis, like they don't even need for like these laws to pass necessarily, for the damage to be done a lot of the time, because like the whole point of, not the whole point, but most of the point of like all these anti-abortion laws, anti-trans laws, anti-drag laws, like anti-insert marginalized community here laws, is like to create fear. It's to create confusion. It's to make people not know what's legal or not, to be unsure about what they have the right to access or what they don't have the right to access. But for anti-abortion folks, ultimately, like confusion really is so much of the point. It's to keep people misinformed, undereducated, uneducated, and just not knowledgeable enough about their own rights to advocate for themselves, to advocate for others, and definitely not to be able to have any sort of empowerment for themselves. And so it's definitely, there's just so much at play there, as far as like, I could go on and on about like patriarchy, white supremacy, elitism, you name it. But I just wanted to note that really quickly. And I don't know if Jenice is coming back now. We may have lost her forever.
We lost Jenice.
She floated
Governor
out
Meme.
into the
Governor Mima took her away.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Heidi, tell Jenice thank you for
Yes,
coming on. Thank you for coming
I
on.
will. Thank
Before
you.
thank you. And I'm glad, Mia would definitely be proud that y'all are carrying on the tradition of coming on the podcast and talking
I
about
talk
abortion.
to her all the time. I can still hear her voice clear as day. And the other day
same.
she was, at least in my mind, getting on to me for not doing a work task I knew she wanted me to do. It's
I
like,
was here.
me would be so pissed if she knew that I haven't bought those fireproof boxes for our files. Oh my gosh.
I guess here go, son, what the hell's going on? It's like, I'm sorry, Mama. I tried.
She's still
What
with us.
She is. Anytime anyone needs an abortion, she's there. It's like
100%.
when Jesus, what is it? When Jesus said, anyone gathers in my name, I'm there. It's like, anyone needs an
If
abortion.
2 or more people, it just takes 2 gathering
Just
his
takes
name.
2 or more people need an abortion. Saint Me is there. Heidi, where can people find Yellowhammer Fund online,
Yes.
et cetera, et cetera? Where can we find y'all?
Super, super easy. We're on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, X.
Yeah.
Threads. We're on TikTok. Please check out our TikTok, please. We have a YouTube channel. We have a LinkedIn. We got everything, y'all. We're all of those are just at Yellow Fund, FUND, super simple. And of course, you can always check out our website. It's just yellowhammerfund.org. And like I mentioned earlier, if you're a resident of Alabama, Mississippi, or the Florida Panhandle west of Tallahassee, definitely if you need safer sex supplies, including emergency contraceptive, please go to our website. It's free. It'll get sent super discreetly to your door. It won't even say Yellowhammer Fund on it. It'll say from your friend. So we just want everyone to know about that as a resource. Tell your friends. We want folks to have as much preventative care as they can if they know they don't want to become pregnant, and have it on hand for, before an emergency happens, so they have it when they need it. And on the back end, of course, like Jenice mentioned, with our bus, with our pop-ups, we are doing diaper distribution, period product distribution, safer sex supply distribution all across the state, particularly here in the Birmingham area. So yeah, and if anyone has any questions just about information about abortion, due to our really strict abortion laws, we can't give direct referrals, but we can give you information as to where to find care, and where to find those resources. Again, you can reach out through our contact form on our website. We simply request that and just recommend that no one puts if they're pregnant or if they're not, any pregnancy information in any contact form to us, or just generally, just be careful out there, y'all. When you're talking about whether you're pregnant, whether you're not pregnant, how far along you are. Yeah,
allegedly pregnant.
Especially you, Nelson. But no, just make plans in person, use Signal, use a VPN. I just really urge everyone to be safe out there. And when we win our lawsuit, that will hopefully change things for us. So definitely just follow along with that, because we very, very much, our goal is to get back to funding abortions for folks and helping folks access legal care in legal access states legally. So that's kind of my wrap up for now. But yeah, please reach out to us.
And then if it doesn't happen, funding underground movements to blow up government buildings.
I can neither confirm or deny.
Yes,
now the show's on. I told you to shut up.
I'm just kidding. No, don't give me, not on the air. Come on, Nelson. I just said.
Oh no, did you hear that?
In
Coming in.
plans. Just kidding.
We do blowing up government buildings in Minecraft, as Mark says. No one's blowing
No
up
one says that
anything
anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry, Zoomer.
People play Minecraft? Oh, no, I'm just kidding. I've never played Minecraft. I'm still over here playing Tears of the Kingdom for 50 years and for the next 50 years. So I can't say anything.
All right, y'all. At what's left of the South, we believe the South will rise again, but this time for the right reasons, those being work own means of production, decolonization, and self-determination for all oppressed peoples. Make sure to click on our link tree in the show notes to find all of our social media, including our including I had a Mark moment there, including our brand new merch store with awesome designs where all the profits go to help Sweet Mark pay for top surgery, and to subscribe to our Patreon. So shout out to our one new subscriber, Leo. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Our producers, Mr. Speaker. Our theme music is by the band The Last Thing You Remember, edited by Psychotic Refuge. We are coming to you from the Magic City, Birmingham, Alabama, as well as Sweet Georgia and jolly old England. We would like to recognize we're recording on occupied land that rightfully belongs to Muskogee and Cherokee nations. Heidi, thank you so much for coming on. Jenice, as you get dragged off to Governor Meemaw's secret prison somewhere deep in the bowels of Chisholm.
Oh no.
Oh no. Thank you for everything y'all do. Yellowhammer Fund's
thank
great.
Y'all for the
y'all
support.
Yeah, no problem. And
we're not going anywhere. I'll say that.
Hell yeah. Y'all go follow them on social media, especially the TikTok. TikTok's lacking. Heidi, we gotta bump those numbers up way up.
Not
bump
for,
it way
I
up.
mean, come on.
Yeah.
We actually do have enough that we could go live on TikTok. I was pretty proud of that. But yeah, we do need some more love on TikTok. Denny puts together some amazing videos, and we should have some more soon. We have a staff retreat coming up, so we're
Hell yeah.
coming up with some
we do some
TikTok
co
ideas.
lives. We can do some co lives on TikTok.
Oh my God,
I got like
yes.
17K followers, and we can help you bump up those numbers.
Don't
we can do
threaten me with a good time.
it. On that note, sweet Mark, do your thing.
I love you. Have a good day tomorrow.